Good evening, and this is the HIPAA compliance presentation brought to you by ABC Tech Geniuses Enterprises. Joining me today is Sam Newberry, who's Tech Lead Support Specialist, and Syed Shah, the Equipment and Inventory Specialist, along with our purchaser. Kenneth Lowry, I'm the Network Specialist, and I will be doing the presentation today. Some of the things we're going to discuss are the HIPAA violations, which actually pertain to social media, websites, accountability of equipment, and access for restrictions. Social media is actually being monitored by the system log. The system log means that everything is being done, is being monitored on the network, and we can go back and see if there's any violations or anything there. Trust websites will be addressed under the proxy server, monitoring system logs. Equipment accountability, there's encryption and tracking. File access is actually restricted by elevation privileges, and we'll discuss that as we go further into the presentation. Some of the network issues that we had with physical security first, which pertain to technical aspects of the network. Equipment has been restricted to network approved personnel. We've made sure that the server rooms are secure through electronic means. That is the access through card logging and system log on the network. The cards are issued by varying levels of security to personnel, so no unauthorized access. There's a AAA server that deals with the passwords and their verifications. How we secured the network is we upgraded the outdated protocols that were the structure. The new protocols were stated that they made sure that everything was secure and patient information and records could not be obtained or accessed without proper authorization and authority. Each department is given their own assigned ones. For example, accounting is given only read only to address the financial aspects of that record and how to bill. Doctors and staff have unrestricted modified access, so they can change, update as they go. Us as network maintenance personnel will not have access to these records, and we are there only to maintain servers, routers, and the equipment and network protocols. Addressing network access, we have AAA servers, the authentication servers for new networks that were not currently there before. This is an added feature so that when passwords are issued, they must go through there to address the authentication process and be approved. There is two-factor authentication. It's going to start further in the presentation. And this is if one fails, person uses a password or a card, they cannot have access without letting the administrator know. Employees are issued a password verified by the authentication server as required on an electronic card. Reestablish security setting of VLANs. This is a secure method, meaning that we can actually assign different networks or different structures: East Office, Small Office, West Office, and Accounting. Each one have their own VLAN. Each VLAN is assigned to a specific function. We separated the VLANs to secure areas, separated from non-secure, guest Wi-Fi, patient portals, and all these are assigned different VLANs. Our printers are on a VLAN separate, and our servers also as well. It gives us more lines and protection. It protects the patient records as well, because one VLAN cannot access the other through means that is not authenticated or given privilege. Patients, on the other hand, are given only read-only access, and they must access it through the secure server. During this time, everything is being logged through the secure log. So there is periodic checking to make sure that everything is being followed, that the laws are being well held in high regard. Access again is, and I cannot say this more importantly, on the system log server that is being monitored. Any suspicious activity will be found, and this is where we address any violations. Passwords in this are also changed every 120 days and must have a complexity requirement, or it will not be accepted. there is wireless routers here. Now we have two forms. Since the doctors and staff wanted to bring their own devices, we have a secure wireless router that has its protocol, which the newest one is the WP3 Enterprise. It's the latest and the most secure one that is available in the market right now. It is also backed up by a AAA server, so the password must be authenticated through that AAA server in order to gain access to that secure server. Wireless routers have been upgraded to the latest ones, so that way these protocols can be done. The prior network actually they had WPA2, and this was not as secure and safe for the information. Now, no network is hack proof, but we did everything with these wireless routers to make it hack resistant and more hardened. Secure Wi-Fi is kept on a separate VLAN than this, so the routers will pass through VLAN, and no guest can have access to this information. Everything must be given through the AAA server. Now, on each one of these, we have switches. The switches play a very vital role in being able to connect PCs, printers, servers to the actual network. These are assigned with the VLANs being each one. You can have VLAN 20 is servers, VLAN 30 is PCs, or VLAN 10 which goes across two networks. There is a safety protocol that is put in these to make sure that all ports that are not being used are manually shut down. They must close the port through our authorized administrator, and the only way they can add a device onto that port as it work is to have the proper permission and access to us, or be assigned personnel that will be dealing with the daily operation. Here currently, I'm going to switch over to a different screen and show you what has to deal with the next coming up. Bring your own device, everything else. So this is a short video that will explain the third-party vendor that we currently are employing to help secure the network from the iPad, tablet, and laptop portions.
What is HIPAA? HIPAA stands for the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996. HIPAA was created to protect the privacy of health information. HIPAA lets individuals know about how their health information gets used. HIPAA puts some very specific rules in place about when, how, and what kind of information can be shared. Why is it important to be HIPAA compliant? Yes, becoming HIPAA can not only be expensive but also time-consuming and overwhelming. However, the HIPAA security rule represents good business security practices that any business, whether in healthcare or not, should adopt. Why are regular texting apps not HIPAA compliant? Traditional text messaging is inherently non-secure and non-compliant with HIPAA because messages containing confidential and sensitive information can be read by anyone, forwarded to anyone, remain unencrypted on telecommunication provider servers, and stay forever on senders and receivers' phones. How can Telemessage help you become HIPAA compliant? The fact is that you can still be HIPAA compliant and continue to employ text messaging as a primary mode of communication in your organization. Telemessage complies with the following standards required by HIPAA. We use secure data centers to host our data. All messages are encrypted from end to end. We provide message delivery confirmation. All messages can be tracked, traced, and archived for audit control. Learn more about our business mobile messaging at www.telemessage.com.
Thank you. As you can tell, this is a third-party vendor that can make sure that there is also access to secure auditing and everything else, so we still get to monitor in and out communications. Currently, text messaging is actually a very big portion of from VA to general healthcare. A lot of people get information, appointments, and can actually access records. I will switch back to our presentation at this time. And this is the secure messaging portion. Now, this leads into the staff's bring your own. The protocols are the same for bring your own device, staff, and all of them would want to use doctors and them. Requesting to be able to use your own laptops, cell phones, tablets to access the network, make it easier, or it's just more familiar for them. Requirements are still the same: access to server. They are going to have complex actual passwords and change passwords every 120 days. Company-owned laptops, on the other hand, along with cell phones, are actually going to have remote access software that can wipe it in case they're lost or stolen. This prevents somebody leaving a laptop or the laptop getting stolen while information's on there and somebody having unrestricted access. There is also a lockout protocol after a certain amount of time of inactivity. It goes to the lock screen and must be relogged in again. The badges that go along with this for the laptops are done through a separate reader, USB port, and they're issued out to authorized personnel only, and we use a third-party vendor for it. The devices at the end of the day will be secured up in a locked area that is electronically controlled and monitored. This time, if anybody needed to take home a laptop, tablet, and everything else, there is a checkout procedure that must be done, and their information will be logged in the network so that we know where that device is. Now, one of the big things nowadays is social media. Everybody likes to post doctor's office, what they're getting done, health updates. Well, this runs into an issue of OPSEC or operational security, and also leaking of other people's information and everything else. How we prevent this is using a proxy server. And this means that any inquiries that are done to find a website, if it is not approved on the network, are done through the proxy, and if it's not approved, will be kicked back. It's also important that anybody knows that if you're in a doctor's office posting on social media, it's not acceptable. A breach of the IT security access SOP. It can inadvertently leak out patient information, so security numbers, payment information coming from accounting, and doctors can actually reveal diagnosis and everything else inadvertently. It's something as staff we can control, and doctors, we can let them know that this is a breach of a HIPAA violation. Patients, on the other hand, we can advise them not to do that. But as far as it comes from ours, everything's maintained through the system log, and we maintain records and everything else for any incidents and just periodically security checks. Now, on all these, since there's 4 different offices currently that are being dealt with, there is firewalls on every one of them restricting access to those networks. Every one of them has a firewall on it as a first line preventive measure from hacking, malicious software, and inadvertently people just being in the wrong place. It's a prevention of people getting in and removing information from the internal system and sending it out. It is an extra layer of security. There's ACLs to access control lists that are done on certain offices that are more secure. And this is done by only letting certain IP addresses be accessed into the network. That IP address is assigned to that device. So if a new device is added on the network with a new IP, it cannot access that without having an administrator approval. There's also times in this too, security protocols we were putting into that prevent information from being stolen when it's at rest and while it's in the move. This is currently what the network is looking like. As you can see, each one of these is a different office. East, we have our small offices, our proxy server, DHCP, all your firewalls. And we also have a secure and non-secure wireless router. And as you can tell, the secure is on a different VLAN. And this prevents any kind of unauthorized access, or if it is hacked, we can shut down that network and just shift fire, create a new network, and keep it going with minimal amount of downtime and expense. In conclusion, the security measures were improved upon for the patient's information staying secure. New security measures for logging on and expiring passwords were incorporated. System logs were established to maintain records. The authentication with the AAA server is now in effect, and proxy servers were created to help websites and queries from outside the network and prevent any unauthorized access from being met. Now, seeing that this is the end of the presentation, the auditors, if you have any questions, comments, and concerns, this would be the time to address it. Currently, you have the attention of Mr. Sam Newberry, Syed Shah, and Kenneth Lowry at this time. And on behalf of ABC Tech Geniuses, this was our presentation on how we met the HIPAA security protocols and secured a network that was otherwise unsecure and vulnerable. I thank you for your time, and I appreciate you listening.